That sentiment was echoed by Charlie Rose. While it is true that changing the governance structure of MPS is not a requirement for Race to the Top funding, for us to compete for that funding and compete well, we must clearly show that we are not only capable of putting together an effective education plan, but we are also capable of implementing it, something that we have had seen limited success with regard to the current board. President Obama said when he was here in Wisconsin in Madison on November 4th, a great day for him, the anniversary of his first year in office, he said, we'll take a look at states' track records to determine whether the steps they've taken have had real results when it comes to their student education. In other words, the President of the United States is watching us here in the state of Wisconsin. They're watching us here in terms of how we govern the MPS, the largest school district in the state. And the President of the United States wants a signal. He wants to understand whether or not, in fact, not only can we put together a good plan, but that we have good structure in place to, in fact, follow through with the plan and get good outcomes in terms of student performance in our largest school district in the state. Improving MPS performance is critical. We all understand it. For Wisconsin to continue to grow, we need an educated workforce in all areas of the state, and that includes Milwaukee. We talk about unemployment here in the state of Wisconsin and in the city of Milwaukee, but it's difficult for an employer to hire a recent graduate who can't read very well, who can't do mathematics very well, and who is not capable of doing some of the basic things that are necessary to perform well in a job. There's a direct link between some of the economic issues that we have in the city and our inability to tame this problem, put in place a good plan, and then execute on that plan in terms of educating our children. The reforms laid out in Senate Bill 405 takes the focus away from the politics that currently rule MPS and puts it back where it belongs, and that focus should be on the students. Let me close by just saying this. I understand why so many people feel so strongly about reforming MPS, and I have a strong feeling about it, not just because Governor Jim Doyle and I share his interest in improving the economy of the state of Wisconsin and have to improve educational outcomes to get those improvements in our economy. But because I have a wife who taught in MPS for 17 years, my children spent a lot of time in classrooms in MPS. I have two grandchildren who are currently on the MPS, and I have a daughter who teaches at Morris Middle School. It is important that we all understand that in the end, this is truly about the students, who are the sons and daughters of Milwaukee, just like my daughters, the sons and daughters of Milwaukee, whom we want to be successful. As the governor likes to say, we need to take these actions, we need to take this action, so that our students get what they need to improve, no matter where they live, no matter what their circumstances are. We must do all we can to make sure that Milwaukee students get the education that they deserve, that they need to be successful in higher education, that they need to be successful and enter the workforce, and that they need to be successful in life. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. It would take a lot more than an operation on a knee, surgery on a knee, to keep me from this debate, and I appreciate you allowing me to speak. And thank you also to the members of this committee.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Now it's my honor to introduce the mayor of the great city of Milwaukee, Mayor Tom Barrett.
Thank you, Secretary Morgan, and good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I want to thank each and every one of you, as well as those of you who are not on the committee, but have taken the time out of your busy schedules to be here this morning for this very important hearing. I think the people in this room should know just how impressive it is that this many senators have come to Milwaukee for this hearing. This is something that I have witnessed throughout my career, and it's rare to see this many senators come. So I think underscores the importance that you view this issue with, and I just, again, want you to know how much I appreciate that. To me, this issue is very, very personal. This is my neighborhood. I grew up about 3 blocks from here. I still live 3 blocks from here. This is the city where I've raised my family, and I love the city and I care about its future. I want to talk a minute about what's happened to this city. I grew up here when there were many, many jobs for people with low educational achievement. We had great jobs for people who worked in breweries, for tanneries, foundries, factories. And year by year, those jobs began to disappear. First, they disappeared to southern states, then they disappeared to Mexico, then they disappeared to China. And what's changed now is that we simply, in this community, do not have enough jobs for people with low educational attainment. The jobs do not exist in this city. It's something that I'm unhappy with. It's something I think many citizens who are here are unhappy with. And it's something that as policymakers, I think we all have to be concerned with. And as I see it, we're faced with a choice. We either accept the fact that we are going to have more and more and more poverty in this community because we do not have enough jobs for people with low educational attainment, or we challenge ourselves like we as a community have never challenged ourselves before and say we are going to raise the educational attainment in this city. To me, it's that stark a choice. Those are the two options that we have before us. And there is no question that this legislation, and those of us who are involved in this, are saying we simply cannot embrace the status quo. We have to challenge ourselves like we have never challenged ourselves before. What's interesting about this debate is that we have wonderful people on both sides of this issue. Again, speaking personally, there are people that I've worked with for over 25 years who are diametrically opposed to the position that I have taken. And they are people for whom I have great respect because I believe that they care about the children in this community. In fact, I think virtually everyone who is involved in this debate cares about the children in this community. And at the end of the day, that's what this has to be about, is what is best for the children who live in this community. But where are we now? We are challenged like we've never been challenged before. I am a parent of kids who have attended and do attend Milwaukee Public Schools. I'm a very happy consumer of the Milwaukee Public School system. But I know how to navigate the system. And that word is so important, navigate. Because if you are a parent who does not know how to navigate this system, or chooses not to navigate this system, your child may end up in a school where he or she, statistically, is bound to fail. And we cannot afford to do that. There are great schools in this system. There are great teachers in this system. I'm married to one of them. And they are committed to these children. But we cannot accept the status quo in terms of the direction that this district is headed. So what can we do? Who is accountable? And I think that's the underlying tenet of this legislation. That for the first time, we would have someone who is accountable for the educational outcomes in the Milwaukee Public Schools. I said that this issue is very personal, because it's personal about the kids. At the other end of the spectrum, though, it's not personal at all. And what I mean by that is I think that the men and women who have served and do serve on the Milwaukee School Board are doing the best that they can, that they care about the kids. Again, this is not a situation where people don't care about the children. But we all have to take a step back. And we've all heard the statistics. Senator Taylor has shared them with you. Representative Colon has shared them with you. Secretary Morgan has shared them with you in terms of the failure rates within this district. We cannot ignore that anymore. We simply cannot do it. Because if we do, the kids who will be in school in 2012 or 2016 or 2018 will not be able to get jobs where they can support their families. So I do support this legislation very strongly because I think it's important that we take a dramatic step to challenge ourselves. Is it a silver bullet? Absolutely not. Is it going to remedy the other problems that we face as a city? Absolutely not. And so you understand this. And I think many of us don't have the poverty or the transient lifestyles that many kids have in the school district. They are facing challenges that are greater than the children that you have personally, or many of the children that you represent. There's far too much poverty. There are far too many teenage pregnancies. There are far too many transient families that move from school year to school year, sometimes many times during the same school year. Those are huge, huge, huge obstacles to success. But they cannot be reasons for us to accept failure. They explain why the challenge is greater. We can never allow them to allow us to accept failure.